to transfer the power of attorney of our company. So for all these legal formalities, we will always prefer written communication. So this is the difference between both of them. Further, distortion. Now, in case of written communication, there is no chance for distortion. There is no chance for misunderstanding or misinterpretation. Because we can refer the things, we have things in our record. Now, in written communication, there is no chance for distortion in any kind of authority. But on the other side, there are chances in oral communication in distortion of authority. Now, how come? Now, suppose I'm running a business, and I'm going somewhere for 2 months. Now, before going, I have to give power of attorney of my company to someone. Now, to decide the authority, I will always prefer written communication. I cannot do that with oral communication. Okay, I'm giving charge to this person. I cannot do that. I have to go with the process of written communication, then only I'll be able to fix the authority. I hope you are clear enough at this point. Now, our next point is effectiveness. Now, this is the criteria of the difference. Now, sometime, if you talk about effectiveness, sometime written communication is more effective rather than oral communication. But as same, on some other situation, oral communication are more effective rather than written communication. Now, how can you decide the difference? Now, it depends on the situation. Now, suppose in my communication, there are so many facts and figures and so many informations. Now, to communicate effectively, I will prepare a PPT along with my presentation, so that I can show graphs, diagrams, and all the facts and figure in my presentation. So in that case, written communication is more effective. But on the other side, now you'll say that ma'am is saying that written communication is also effective and oral communication is also effective. Now, I want to clear you one thing, that it depends on the situation. So somewhere written communication is effective, oral communication is not effective. And on the other side, sometimes oral communication is effective and written communication is not effective. For example, suppose I'm going with public speaking. So in that case, written communication is not effective. I cannot circulate the pamphlets among the audience. I won't be able to connect myself with the audience through written communication. So if I want that connection, I will prefer oral communication. So through oral communication only, we'll be able to connect, the writer will be able to connect with the reader. So in that case, oral communication is more effective. Now, our next category is significance. Now, if I talk about significance, written communication is more significant rather than oral communication. Because we have proof with us, we have evidence with us. If there is any confusion, we can refer the written document again. So if I talk about with the point of view of significance, one side written communication is always very significant, and on the other side oral communication are less significant than written communication. Our next category is relation. Now, as I said, in both the communication there is a difference. in relation making. Now, in written communication, the writer is not able to create the relationship or emotions or feelings with the reader. But on the other side, in oral communication, the speaker or the writer or the sender of the message is able to make the connection, the relation with the reader or listener. Because in oral communication, we can interact with each other. But that is not possible in written communication. So if we compare with that point, there is a comparison between both of these, that in written communication, we won't be able to make relation or connectivity. But on the other side, in oral communication, we are able to make that connection. Because the reader or speaker is at front of us. Or not at front of us, but somehow he is connected with us on that point of that conversation. Clear? Now further to know about the difference between written communication and oral communication, our next category is formality. Now, written communication is always a formal communication. So, if we talk about with the point of view of business organization, written communication is always a formal communication where we will take care of each and everything very minutely. We'll take care of the formats, we'll take care of the language, about the words, the proper sentence and proper meaning. But on the other side, oral communication is a bit informal one. Now, definitely we will focus when we do oral communication, but not as same as we do in written communication. Now, suppose I have to inform to my boss regarding to any project. Okay. I'm giving this example just to explain that what is the difference between oral communication and written communication with the criteria of formalities. Now suppose, as I said that I have to inform to my boss regarding to any project. Now I have two ways. One is written communication and another is oral communication. Now through written communication, what I'll do? I'll write a report. And while writing the report, I'll be very particular with my contents. I'll be very particular with the format. I'll give all the information very nicely in the format of report only. So somehow my communication is formal. And on the other side, if I'm doing oral communication and I'm giving my reviews regarding to that project face to face, I'll be less formal. There I won't take much care about the format. That first I should tell about the agenda of the project, and then I should tell about the development of the project. So there I won't take care of such things. So the oral communication is a bit informal if we compare with the written communication. Clear? Now our further category is emotions. Now in that case, written communication is always, we won't find any emotion in written communication. Now you will say that, how come? Even we can feel emotional while we'll read any letter or any message. But here we are talking about within the context of business or organization, where we always do formal communication. So in that case, we won't be able to bring any emotion through our writing, because we are doing formal communication. We are doing communication in a business. And with the point of view of the growth of any organization or business, written communication that plays a very major role. So in that case, I cannot bring emotions in my written document of my company. I cannot bring emotion in my report. I cannot bring emotion in my notice. But on the other side, if I'm doing oral communication, definitely I can bring some emotions in while communicating. Through my tone, through variation of my voice, through all these things I can show emotions. So if we talk about with the criteria of emotion, we cannot show emotion in written communication, but on the other side, we can show a little emotion in oral communication. Now further, what is the difference between oral communication and written communication? That is preservation of information. Now, if we talk about this particular category, written communication, we can keep record of written communication. We can preserve them for years even. But on the other side, we cannot preserve oral communication. So whatever information, suppose in 2001, we did some project. So information regarding to that particular project, if we did all the paperwork very properly, if we prepare report and all the covering letter very nicely, and we kept the record, so it means all the informations are preserved. Now suppose in 2016 again we are going with that same project, we can refer that file of 2001. Because in that file, all the informations are preserved. And that we can do through written communication only. This is not possible in oral communication. Now, a very simple example of our day-to-day life. Now, suppose you are listening your teacher's lecture on regarding CC or regarding non-verbal communication. So whatever information she has provided you, you cannot preserve those information. You cannot use those same information after 3 years or 2 years. But you have prepared the notes. If you have written the whole lecture, then you can preserve the information and you can use next year or after few years. So in that case, this is the difference between written communication and oral communication, that in written communication we can preserve the information, but in oral communication we cannot preserve the information. Now our next category is educational qualification. Now this is the biggest difference, I must say, between written communication and oral communication. Now as you all know that we all are very good in our speaking skills, because that is what we are doing since our childhood. But maybe we all are not that much good in our writing skills. Now, if I talk about with the point of view of educational qualification, if we are doing written communication, in that case we can do only with literate people. If the person is illiterate one, we cannot do written communication. So that point of education qualification, it plays a very vital role. So qualification is not there, literacy is not there, we cannot do written communication. And on the other side, we can do oral communication with illiterate people also. So in oral communication, there is no criteria of educational qualification. Now suppose if we are communicating with a person who is not at all qualified, so with that person we cannot do communication in written form. Now in that particular condition, we have to do communication in oral form because we can explain him. So that person won't be able to read the document. We cannot pass on the information to him. And if that person is not able to decode the message, then we are not able to fulfill the process of the communication. So with the criteria of the process of communication, if we are doing written communication with illiterate person, we won't be able to get the feedback because he won't be able to decode the message. So with that category, we can differentiate both the type of communication that in written communication we can do only with literate people, and on the other side, oral communication we can do with illiterate people also. Now our next category is media. It means medium. So if we are doing written communication, our medias are different, and if we are doing oral communication, our medias are different, which I have already explained you with the introduction only. So once again I am repeating, what are the medias of written communication? Letter, memo, notice, report, then applications. So these are the medias of written communication. And on the other side, even newspaper, pamphlets, hoarding, all these are medias of written communication.